Good morning. Today we will be discussing one more application of fundamental theorem of arithmetic, and then we move on to proving irrationality of a given number. That is, given a number, we'll prove that number is an irrational number by the method of contradiction. Okay, so before we get into that, let me prove this theorem using fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So this is the statement which we'll be using it further. So let P be a prime number and A be a positive integer. If P divides A square, then P divides A. So this is what we will be proving now. So prime number, you know what is a prime number? Any number greater than 1 which has got 1 and itself as factors, we call it as a prime number. Now you know what is a positive integer? That is numbers from 1 to so on, they are positive integers. If that is the case, if P divides A square, now you have to prove P divides A. That is there. Taking this into consideration, you have to prove P divides A. So that is the aim of the problem. Okay. Alright. So before we get into proving this, first we understand what is when can you say that one number divides the other number. For example, say A and B are two numbers, or of that matter, 2 and 6 are two numbers. When can you say that 2 divides 6? Now that is the definition of divisibility. That is, you can say that 2 divides 6 if there exists an integer in such a way that 6 is equal to 2 into that integer. Now that integer, we know it is 3. Now if you are able to write 6 as the product of this 2 and any integer, then we say that 2 divides 6. Like the same, if you say A divides B, it means that you can write B as A into some integer C, for which the product of AC is equivalent to B. So this is the definition of divisibility. That is, two numbers A and B are in fact two numbers. Well, in fact, if we have A and B, two numbers, and we say that A divides B, if there exists an integer C in such a way that B is equal to AC, that is, if there is an integer C in such a way that product of A and C gives you B, then we say that A divides B. For example, say some X, or you can write X is equal to some AY, then we say that A divides X, or you can also say that Y divides X. That is, there should be an integer in such a way that the product of those two should give you the required number. So then we say that one number divides the other. Here in this case, A divides B if and only if there exists an integer C in such a way that B is equal to A into C. So that is the definition of divisibility, which I will be taking into consideration in the later cases. So whatever the definitions which I use, I will be moving further with the same. Now divisibility is already known to us, but you didn't get into it in a definite manner. Now this is what I am trying to fix over here. That is, A and B are two integers. We say that A divides B if there exists an integer C such that B is equal to AC. Now that is the definition of divisibility. Okay. So now we have to prove that P divides A provided P divides A square. Okay. So here we are given A is a positive integer. A is a positive integer. Now, given a positive integer, there are three possible cases. One is either the number should be 1, or the number should be a prime number, or the number should be a composite number. If suppose A is 1, now A square is equal to 1. That is, square of 1 is again 1 itself. Now P is a prime number. We are given P is a prime number. We are given P is prime number. Now we are being told that P divides A square. Now P divides A square is P is a prime number and P divides A square. Now can a prime number divides 1? Yes. Is there a prime number which divides 1? Or in fact, the number which divides 1 is 1 itself. So there is no prime number which divides 1. So hence A cannot be 1. So you need not consider this case. Clearly A is not 1. So there are only two cases. One is either A is a prime number or a composite number. A cannot be 1. So this what is it? If A is 1, there is no prime number which divides A square. So clearly A cannot be 1. So there are only two cases which we need to think about. One is A is a prime number. The other one is A is a composite number. First, suppose A is a prime number. Suppose A is a prime number. Say A is a prime number. May I say A square is also a prime number? A is a prime number. Let us say A is a prime number. Now we have A square. For example, say 2. 2 is a prime number. Now 2 square, which is 4. Now what are the prime numbers that divides 4? What are the prime numbers that divides 4? May I say 2? 2 is the only prime number that divides 4. Yes. So 2 divides 2 square. Yes. If 2 divides 2 square, may I say that 2 divides 2? Yes. May I say that 2 divides 2? For suppose say 3 is a prime number. Now what is 3 square? 9. What are the prime numbers that divides 9? The prime number that divides 9 is only one, which is 3. The prime number that divides 9 is only 3. So 3 divides 9. Now may I say that 3 divides 3? Yes. Now if you have observed closely these two examples, now you have 4. 4 is divisible by only one prime number, which is 2, which means that 2 square you can also write 2 into 2. Yes, 2 square can be written as 2 into 2. And may I say that this prime number and this prime number are equal? Yes. And here also, this 9 you can write it as 3 into 3, and this prime number and this prime number are equal. That is, whenever A is a prime number, A and P are becoming equal. Yes, that is what you can conclude. So, when A is a prime number, if P divides A square, A is a prime number. If P divides A square, if A is a prime number and if P divides A square, then P should be equivalent to A. That is what you can conclude. If A is a prime number, P divides A square, then P should be equivalent to A. If P is equivalent to A, then P is divisible by A. Or in fact, A is divisible by P. That is what you can say. That is, when P divides A square, from this we can conclude that P is equal to A. Now may I write P as P into 1? So from this, may I say that P divides A? Yes. So that is what we need to prove. I repeat it again. When A is 1, A square cannot be divisible by P. So A cannot be 1. Now there are only two possibilities. One is A is either prime or A is composite. If A is prime, then if P divides A square, then P should be equivalent to A. That is what I am writing. P should be equivalent to A. P should be equivalent to A in the sense 1 into P is equivalent to A. So whenever you are able to write one number is equal to product of two numbers, now each number divides this. That is, P divides A as per the definition of divisibility which we have discussed. So P divides A. P divides A. That is what we need to prove. So we have proved in the case of prime number. Now we have to prove in the case of composite number. So is this clear? So when A is a prime number, if P divides A square, then P should be equivalent to A. So that is what I have written. P is equivalent to A. If P is equivalent to A, P divides A. That is clear. That is 2 divides 2. That is what I am trying to say. If P is equal to A, P divides A. So this is the case when A is a prime number. Suppose A is a composite number. Now here comes in the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. If A is a composite number, then as per fundamental theorem of arithmetic, you can write it as product of prime factors. That is what I am writing. So A is equal to P1, P2, P3, so on, Pn. Because A is a composite number, you can express the composite number as product of prime factors. Now here P1, P2, P3, so on, Pn are prime numbers. They need not be distinct. It is not necessarily that they are different. So they might be same, they might not be same. So here we have to understand that P1, P2, P3, so on, Pn are some prime numbers, they may or may not be equal. So that is what I can say. Now our focus is on a square, so I will square on both sides. So a square is equal to P1, P2, so on, Pn whole square. Now this is same as P1 square, P2 square, so on, Pn square. Okay. Now a square is written as product of, in fact, a square's prime factorization is this, and by the uniqueness part of fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we can say that apart from the prime factors P1, P2, so on, Pn for a square, there are no other prime factors. That is what we can say. I repeat it again. The fundamental theorem of arithmetic's uniqueness part says that P1, P2, so on, Pn are the only prime factors which divides a square. Okay, so that is what I can take from the statement of fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Now we have P divides a square. If P divides a square, then P should divide this, because a square is same as this, P1 square, P2 square, so on, Pn square. So if P divides a square, then P should divide P1, P2, so on, Pn square. That is, P should divide this entire product. Now all these are prime numbers. Now if all these are prime numbers and P divides this product of prime numbers, then P should be one among these. For example, 2 into 3 into 5 into 7. Now this is the product. Now if this product is being divisible by some prime number, then that prime number should be either 2 or 3 or 5 or 7. Similarly, when P is dividing, when a prime number is dividing this entire product of prime numbers, this prime number should be one of these prime numbers, which means that P is one amongst P1, P2, so on, Pn. That like this. 2, 3, 5, 7. This is the product of prime numbers, and if this product is being divisible by a prime number, then that prime number should be either 2, 3, 5, 7, which means that this prime number P is one of 2, 3, 5, 7. Like the same, here this prime number P is one of P1, P2, so on, Pn. So that is what I can say. If P is one of P1, P2, so on, Pn, that is, P is one of this. Suppose say P is somewhere over here. P is one of P1, P2, so on, Pn. P is here. Now each of these divides A. Therefore, I can conclude that P divides A. So that is it. I repeat it again. Given a composite number, as per fundamental theorem of arithmetic, you can write it as product of prime factors. So this is what I have written: P1, P2, P3, so on, P. Now, our focus is on the square, so I have squared it. Now this is the case, and the prime factorization of a square is this. And by the uniqueness part of fundamental theorem of arithmetic, P1, P2, so on, Pn are the only prime factors of a square. P1, P2, P3, so on, Pn are the only prime factors of a square. Now when P divides a square, then P should divide this entire product. This is the product of prime numbers. If the product of prime numbers is divisible by a prime number, then that prime number should be one of the prime numbers of P1, P2, so on, Pn, which means that P is one of P1, P2, so on, Pn. If P is one of P1, P2, so on, Pn, P is in this. If P is in the prime factorization of A, then that P divides A. So that is what I have written, P divides A. So that is it with regards to this theorem. Now using this, we try to prove the irrationality. Now this concludes all the applications of fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Here I have used fundamental theorem of arithmetic at this place, and here also at this place, and also the uniqueness part of it, in order to prove that P divides A whenever P divides A square. Now taking this into consideration, given some numbers, I try to prove them that they are irrational. So this is what I am trying to do, and in order to prove them, I will be making use of this statement. That is, if a prime number divides the square of a positive integer, then it also divides that positive integer. That is, P divides A square implies P divides A. Now this is what I will be using where and when required, where p is a prime number. If p divides a square, then p divides a. Now this is what I am going to use in order to prove the irrationality of some of the numbers. So that is what I am going to discuss now. So I have already posted some problems in the worksheet. I will be discussing some of them and I will leave some problems for your homework. Now look into the first one, root 2. So the aim of the problem is to prove root 2 as irrational. Now in order to prove root 2 as irrational, I will be using a method called method of contradiction. So in this method what we do is, we take the contrary of what we are supposed to prove and we proceed further. And at some point we will be arriving at a contradiction and we will say that the contradiction has arisen of some wrong assumption and the correct assumption is the given statement. So that is the way we will be going about. Okay. So I will be going with proof of root 2 is an irrational number. So as I told you, I will be going by the method of contradiction. Let us assume that root 2 is a rational number. Let root 2 is a rational number. Since root 2 is a rational number, I can say that since root 2 is a rational number, I can write root 2 as p by q. That is, any rational number is of the form p by q, so I can write root 2 as p by q. Root 2 is equal to p by q or a by b rather. A by b where b not equal to 0. And I am considering root 2 in its simplest form, that is a by b in its simplest form. Simplest form in the sense the HCF of a and b is 1. That is, other than 1 there are no numbers which divides a and b. So root 2 is equal to a by b, b not equal to 0, a and b are integers and HCF of a and b is 1. That is, a and b will not be divided by any other number except 1. So that is the point of focus here. Okay. HCF of a and b is 1 is same as saying a and b are co-primes or relatively primes. You can also use the word where a and b are co-primes or relative primes, or you can write HCF of a and b is equal to 1. Now this is the initial assumption which I am making, that is root 2 is irrational. So root 2 is rational. So whenever root 2 is rational, you can write it in the form of p by q. That is what I have written, where b not equal to 0, a and b are integers and HCF of a and b is equal to 1. This indicates that apart from 1 there are no other numbers which divides a and b. Now cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, this is b root 2 is equal to a. Now do the squaring on both sides. So if you do the squaring on both sides, then that will imply b root 2 whole square is equal to a square. Now this square belongs to both of these numbers. So which is b square into root 2 whole square is equal to a square. Now these two they get cancelled. Now the same thing I can write as a square is equal to 2 into b square. Now a square I am able to write it as product of 2 and b square. Therefore, by the definition of divisibility, I can say that 2 divides a square. That is what I can write. 2 divides a square. Now, as per the previous theorem which we have concluded, if 2 divides a square, I can say that 2 divides a. So that implies 2 divides a. Now again I will be using the definition of divisibility. That is, whenever you can say that a number divides the other number, there exists an integer such that the number is product of these two. That is, here 2 divides a, which means that a can be written as 2 into some integer. That is what the definition says. Whenever 2 divides a, it means that there is an integer or there exists an integer in such a way that a can be written as 2 into that integer. That integer right now we don't know. I am naming that integer as some c. That is what I write. For some integer c. For some c. For some integer c. Again I will be squaring this. If I square this, what do you get? A square is equal to 2c whole square. So which is 4c square. Now a square value is known to us. A square is 2b square. Substitute this. Let us say this is some 1. So substitute the values. So a square is 2b square. So 2b square is equal to 4c square. So this is what I have written by equation 1. Now bring this 2 to the right hand side. Now this is b square is equal to 4c square by 2. 2 1s are 2 2s are. So this is 2c square. Again we have b square is equal to 2c square. So b square is written as product of 2 and c square. Therefore by the definition of divisibility I can say that 2 divides b square. So that implies 2 divides b square. Now if 2 divides b square from the theorem which we have concluded, I can say that 2 divides b. Now if you look into this and this, we have a common factor 2, isn't it? 2 is dividing a, 2 is dividing b. But at the starting we have 1 is the only number which divides a and b, but here we got that 2 is a number which divides a and b. Now this is a contradiction to this statement, that is HCF of AB is equal to 1. So this contradiction has arisen because we have assumed something wrong. The assumption which we have made wrong is this, that is root 2 is rational. So if root 2 is rational, assumption is wrong, then the correct assumption would have been root 2 is irrational. So that is what we conclude. So here we write therefore 2 is a common factor . 2 is a common factor of a and b. This is a contradiction. This is a contradiction. Therefore, root 2 is, or thus, root 2 is irrational. So once again I repeat it. We have to prove that root 2 is a rational number. So we have to prove root 2 is irrational. So I have assumed that root 2 is a rational number. So since root 2 is a rational number, I can write as per the definition that it is of the form a by b, where b not equal to 0, a and b are integers, and HCF of a and b is 1. Now cross multiply, this is the case, square it. So when you square it, this is the case. Now you have a square is equal to 2 into b square. So by the definition of divisibility, we can say that 2 divides a square. That is what it is. If 2 divides a square, again by the statement, I can have 2 divides a. So if 2 divides a, again by the definition, I can write a is equal to 2 into c. So I have squared it on both sides. So when I have squared it on both sides, this is the case. And a square is 2b square. I have substituted the value, then transpose 2 to the other side. So 2 2's. So this is the case. So 2b square, in fact, b square is equal to 2c square. Again by the definition of divisibility, I can say that 2 divides b square. If 2 divides b square, by the theorem I can say 2 divides b. So we can say that 2 is a common factor of both a and b, and this is contradicting this statement. This statement says that 1 is the only common factor, but this statement says that 2 is also common factor. So that is a contradiction. Now that has arisen because we have assumed something wrong. The wrong assumption is root 2 is rational. Therefore the correct assumption would have been root 2 is irrational. So that is the case. So today what you do is, you do the second and third problems. Those are the 2 problems for your homework. And tomorrow we'll continue the same worksheet. Tomorrow, I mean in the next session, we'll continue the same worksheet. That is it all for the day. Thank you.